imagine for a second that you're just sitting completely still, right? But your heart is racing at 120 beats a minute. You aren't running, you're not exercising, you are just sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, your entire nervous system is basically in open rebellion at that point.
Exactly. And you try to take a few steps across the room, and you have to stop because you're just gasping for air. Every time you try to eat a piece of food, you literally choke.
It's a complete physiological shutdown. The body's just failing.
Right. And then you look down at your hands, and your fingernails are starting to indent, like they are physically caving in on themselves.
Oh man, that is horrifying.
It really is. And that very real, very terrifying physical crisis is exactly where our deep dive begins today. So welcome, by the way. I am so glad you're joining us for this journey because, well, the mission today is to explore this truly singular, wild document.
Wild might be an understatement, honestly.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a translated essay by an author named Su Feng, and it's titled The Origin and Process of My Unconventional Thinking.
And, you know, calling it unconventional really doesn't do it justice. It's basically a total deconstruction of how we perceive the world.
Okay, let's unpack this. The entire premise of Shui Feng's essay is that what you and I just accept as everyday reality, our 9-to-5 jobs, social ladders, what makes a successful life.
All of it.
Yeah, all of it is completely backward. He argues that normality is abnormal. He actually believes everyday people are trapped in these invisible nets of conventional thinking.
Right, like we're just completely blinded by surface-level phenomena and immediate interests.
Exactly. And before we really get into the timeline of his life, I do need to set a clear boundary for you, the listener. Because this text, it wades into some incredibly strong polarizing territory.
Oh, absolutely. He doesn't hold back.
He really doesn't. He offers some intense political commentary, specifically tearing into Marxism and Maoism. And he also mounts these sweeping religious critiques, directly taking on Charles Darwin, evolutionary biology, and intelligent design.
Yeah, it covers a lot of controversial ground.
So let me be crystal clear up front. We are strictly acting as impartial guides today. We are not taking any sides, left or right. We aren't endorsing his political or religious viewpoints at all.
Right, we're just looking at the text.
Exactly. Our only job is to help you navigate and understand the fascinating ideas in this source material. We're just here to unpack it.
Yeah, because we're treating this as a remarkable piece of human documentation. What's compelling isn't necessarily whether his philosophy is objectively true, but how he arrived at it.
Right, the journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to trace how this grueling, near-death physical experience forced a total psychological break from society, which then launched him on this frantic global quest for the ultimate truth.
Okay, so let's go back to that terrifying opening image, the racing heartbeat and the indented fingernails.
Right.
The year is 1982. The location is the Kilian Mountains in China, roughly 4,000 meters above sea level. Shui Feng is stationed up there to generate electricity, and he is just suffering from severe, life-threatening altitude sickness.
Yeah, because at 4,000 meters, the oxygen levels are just dangerously thin. If your body can't acclimate, hypoxia sets in. Your organs are essentially suffocating.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why his nails were caving in. It's a massive physiological crisis.
So naturally, he knows he's in crisis. He goes to his leadership and just pleads for a simple transfer down the mountain to a temporary workshop just so he can breathe,
A completely reasonable request.
Right. But instead of basic medical compassion, he hits this solid brick wall of institutional bureaucracy. A political instructor actually looks at this dying man and says, "This is the arrangement of the organization, and the revolutionary work needs it."
Unbelievable.
And to add insult to literal injury, the instructor accuses him of having no sense to appreciate favors.
I mean, that is just institutional gaslighting at its most extreme.
Huh.
The system is demanding he sacrifice his life for a work quota, and then demanding he feel grateful for it.
Totally. And he realizes he's completely trapped. There's a strict protocol that drivers aren't allowed to take anyone down without stamped permission.
So he can't even hitch a ride.
No. And he considers just walking away, but it's a 7-hour drive through incredibly desolate terrain just to get there. Walking out on foot means certain death.
So what does he do?
In a desperate bid to survive, he resorts to eating wild mountain onions that taste like garlic, just hoping the raw nutrients might somehow cure his altitude sickness. It's like being trapped in the world's most toxic workplace, except the HR department is a desolate, freezing mountain where you might literally die.
That analogy is perfect,
Yeah.
honestly. He's imprisoned by administrative red tape in a geographically lethal environment.
Wait, hold on, though, because, a lot of people have been trapped in terrible, even life-threatening jobs, right?
Sure, yeah.
But most people, if they survive, they get off the mountain, they quit, they find a new boss, maybe they go to therapy.
Right.
They don't typically reinvent their entire understanding of the cosmos. So why did this specific bureaucratic nightmare trigger such a massive, permanent philosophical break?
Well, what's fascinating here is the psychological pivot that happens in his mind when he decodes the hidden power dynamic.
What do you mean?
So he's sitting up on that mountain, choking down wild onions, and he realizes this isn't just random bad luck. He deduces he must have previously offended a brigade leader.
Oh, so it's targeted.
Exactly.
Ah.
The bureaucracy isn't blindly inefficient. It's actively weaponized against him under the guise of noble revolutionary language. His physical survival actually mutates into an intellectual awakening.
Oh.
He realizes the system is just a matrix of control.
So he sort of sees the code behind the curtain, like
Yeah.
the Matrix.
He realizes the language used to govern society is a deliberate smokescreen. So to survive mentally, he develops this concept he calls reverse seeing.
Reversed seeing.
Yeah. He takes conventional language and flicks it to find the actual truth. When leaders say revolution, he realizes they actually mean deprivation,
Oh, wow.
right? When society praises a model worker, he looks at them and sees an ignorant model.
Someone brainwashed into working themselves to death.
Exactly. And someone labeled a reactionary individual by the state is, to him, just a thoughtful individual. He concludes that the whole world is operating upside down.
But think about the psychological weight of that for a second. That is an incredibly isolating way to live.
Extremely isolating.
Because once he gets off that mountain, he has to re-enter a society whose fundamental reality he now completely rejects. How do you talk to your neighbors when you genuinely believe they're hallucinating their values?
You're just surrounded by people deeply invested in a game that you view as a destructive illusion.
Mm-hmm.
The cognitive dissonance would be unbearable.
And his solution to that dissonance was a mechanism he called self-anesthesia.
Right, numbing himself.
Yeah. He decided to outwardly play the game while inwardly severing all emotional attachment. He smiled at supervisors. He even actively competed for and won official 3 Goods Awards.
Which were a big deal, right?
Yeah, there were standard merit awards in China for good attitude, good study habits, and good health. The ultimate symbol of being a conforming citizen. He won them, but he felt absolutely nothing.
Like controlling a video game avatar.
Exactly. Which actually leads to one of the most darkly comedic details in his entire essay.
Oh, the magazine survey that perfectly encapsulates this era of his life.
It really does. So in 1987, the Gansu Reader's Digest sends out a survey asking readers for their hobbies. Xu Feng fills it out and writes one phrase: self-anesthesia.
And the editors actually printed it.
They printed it, and they added this glowing commentary, assuming he was being a noble, self-deprecating intellectual. They wrote, his answer shows he was actively contemplating and feeling the responsibility on his shoulders.
But he wasn't being poetic at all.
No, he meant it literally.
Yeah.
He had to emotionally numb himself to tolerate this upside-down world chasing meaningless, colorful bubbles.
But, numbing yourself to survive the workplace inevitably bleeds into your personal life.
Yeah.
You can't just turn that off when you get home.
True, and it's severely affected his marriage. His wife starts calling him peculiar and eventually flat out labels him a monster because his mindset is so alien to her. Yeah, they can't agree on basic family matters or financial goals. So, to salvage the situation, he strikes the deal with her using an ancient Taoist principle called Wu Wei.
Which translates roughly to non-action, or effortless acts.
Right, going with the flow of the river instead of swimming upstream. So he tells his wife, "Give me 5 years. If our lives don't undergo a significant positive change by following my unconventional thinking, I will give up and always listen to you."
He put his entire philosophy on a 5-year timer.
Yeah. So what does this all mean? Is self-anesthesia actually a sustainable way to live? Or is it just a massive defense mechanism for a guy who experienced trauma?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Xu Feng himself realizes that sitting in emotional numbness isn't sustainable.
Okay.
He realizes his current environment is too small a sample size. He explicitly writes that he fears becoming a frog at the bottom of the well.
Right. He needs a larger laboratory to test his theories.
Exactly. If his unconventional thinking is an objective law of the universe, it has to work everywhere, not just in rural Chinese bureaucracy.
And he actually gets a secure, prestigious offer from the Lansu Information Office around this time, right?
Yeah, the kind of job the old Shufeng would have jumped at.
But the new Xu turns it down. He chooses instead to leave his homeland entirely.
And that decision acts as the catalyst for the next phase, where he throws his body and mind into every conceivable environment.
It's an absolute whirlwind. I mean, he decides to aggressively speedrun the extremes of the human experience.
Speedrun is the perfect word for it.
He drops the orthodox Marxist-Leninist texts and Mao's works and pivots hard. He studies Sakyamuni and Laozi for Eastern frameworks. He studies feng shui, astrology, palmistry.
Right.
Then he pivots to the West Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Freud's psychoanalysis, Nietzsche.
He's aggressively seeking different lenses to view reality. But he's not just reading about them in a library.
No, he treats his own life as the experiment. His resume is so chaotic. He works as a trucker, a bartender, a nightclub manager. He was a Red Guard platoon leader where he got beaten to a bloody nose.
He's pushing the physical limits.
Yeah, he gambles playing Five Dragons, plays roulette, drinks until his stomach literally bleeds, and uses opium for pain.
He's testing variables. Does his unconventional thinking hold up when he's inebriated, in agony, or risking it all at a card table?
And he pushes the social extremes, too. He shakes hands with Chinese Prime Minister Zhu Rongji, the peak of political authority.
Wow.
Then he rents a villa from a Zimbabwean minister, and later lives with destitute locals in the remote Ponca area of Zimbabwe.
Looking for the ceiling and the floor of the human condition.
Exactly. He notes he nearly starved to death in 1960. He almost drowned in the Yellow River, barely survived a snake encounter and a massive car crash in Zimbabwe.
Exposing himself to ultimate authority, total risk, extreme wealth, extreme poverty, trying to find the absolute bottom of human experience.
But I have to ask, looking at this chaotic accumulation of earthly data, did it actually work? I mean, did this massive experiment answer his core questions, or did it just leave him traumatized?
That is the big question. And the answer Sui Feng provides is a definitive, resounding no.
Wait, really? None of it?
None of it. Despite all these colorful experiences, the near-death encounters, the global travel, he explicitly states that it failed to help him grasp the essence of life.
He travels the entire globe, tries every vice, reads the great philosophers, and comes up empty-handed.
Earthly data collection completely failed him. And that failure is the most crucial transition point in his essay.
Because he's forced into a corner.
Exactly. He realizes if the answer isn't in the material world, he has to look outside of it. He abandons the physical realm to answer his ultimate question. What is the origin of life?
Which brings us to the final and definitely the most controversial phase of his thinking. And just to reiterate our impartiality disclaimer for you listening, we are strictly examining his personal conclusions here, not presenting this as scientific fact.
Right, we're just tracing his intellectual destination.
So after the material world fails him, he embarks on a 4-year intensive study of the Bible. But he claims he didn't go into it as a willing believer.
No, he had a very specific scientific motive initially.
Right. He states he originally investigated Darwin's On the Origin of Species with the intent to use evolutionary biology to disprove God.
He wanted science to solve the origin of life.
Exactly. But instead, he says he found tens of thousands of staggering facts that caused him to completely overturn Darwin in his own mind.
He concluded Darwin missed the invisible essence that animates life.
And he takes this critique to modern science, too. He directly dismisses Richard Dawkins, calling his theory of life originating from water pure nonsense.
Because for Shufeng, material science is just the new conventional net.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, society just replaced the old political bureaucracy with a scientific one. He believes people mistake these theories for absolute certainty, which locks them out of the treasury of wisdom.
So he walks away concluding firmly that a creator God offered life.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, accessing this treasury of wisdom isn't just about declaring a belief. It's about achieving a highly specific, advanced state of consciousness.
Right.
He wants to merge Buddha's abiding nowhere, total non-attachment, with the communist ideal of seeking truth from facts, and fuse it with the minds of Jesus and Laozi.
It's like he's trying to build a philosophical master key out of the world's belief system.
Exactly, to understand the invisible forces of the material world.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because Xuefeng doesn't just leave this as an abstract theory. He provides a tangible test for you to know if you've reached this advanced state. He calls it the dream test.
The dream test is where his philosophy breaks waking reality entirely.
He argues that normal people, still trapped in conventional thinking, have dreams that are mostly black and white, featuring familiar people and everyday anxieties.
Right.
But if you unlock the advanced state, your dreams fundamentally change. They become vibrantly colorful, you meet entities you've never seen, and you navigate unimaginable 36-dimensional spaces.
And a 36-dimensional space represents a reality completely unconstrained by earthly physics, beyond linear time.
Yeah, physical limits don't apply. You can soar through clouds, walk on water, pass through solid walls, become invisible. But I hear that, and my immediate reaction is skepticism.
Sure.
I mean, colorful dreams where you can fly. Couldn't that just be an active, creative subconscious? Why does it mean you've unlocked a 36-dimensional universe?
It's a highly rational skepticism.
Yeah.
But what makes his interpretation fascinating is his focus on time dilation.
Time dilation.
Yeah. He points out that in our waking world, a second is fixed. But in this advanced dream state, within a single biological second of REM sleep, you can experience endlessly complex events.
Like living out massive spans of time in a blink.
Precisely. For him, this time dilation isn't just imagination. It's empirical proof that human consciousness transcends infinite space and immeasurable time.
Wow.
The dream state is his ultimate liberation from the rigid physics that caused his fingernails to indent back in 1982.
That is incredible. He found a realm where the bureaucracy of the physical world has zero power over him. Well, let's bring all of this incredible journey back together for you as we wrap up. We've traced a truly staggering arc today.
We really have.
We started with a man choking on wild onions on a 4,000-meter mountain, utterly crushed by political bureaucracy. We watched him decode that language, numbing himself to survive.
Then he became an international wanderer.
Right, speed running every job, vice, and social extreme. And finally, when earthly data failed him, he rejected material science, discarded Darwin, and found enlightenment in vibrantly colorful, time-bending dreams.
It's quite the trajectory.
It forces you to pause and consider your own life. How much of what we accept as normal every single day is just an invisible societal net holding us back?
And Xu leaves us with a profound paradox to mull over. He argues that the time we experience in a brief dream can feel like a lifetime, proving our waking rules of time and space are just stubborn illusions.
Wow.
It makes you wonder, if the strict boundaries of time and physics completely dissolve the moment we close our eyes, what if our waking life isn't the real reality at all? What if it's just the most stubborn, persistent dream we all happen to share?
That is a deeply unsettling yet incredibly beautiful thought to chew on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the unconventional. Keep questioning the normal, and we'll catch you next time.